Darrell Brooks is a scumbag, convicted murderer at this point, and thank God for that. He's a liar too, and that's what this video is about. One of the most ridiculous lies he told in his case came in his closing argument when he stared at the jury and said, "I want you to know the truth. The truth hasn't been told to you, and I want you to know it."
First off, I'd just like to start by letting you guys know that it's a lot of information that you guys should be privy to, I believe. That not only is it fair, but it's essential that you be privy to all knowledge, not knowledge that certain people feel that you should hear and shouldn't hear.
I noticed there was a fire alarm behind him on the wall, and that didn't go off, indicating that lightning had not struck the building and destroyed it. He doesn't want the jury to know the truth. He didn't want them to know the truth. He doesn't want anyone to ever know the truth about him. He lies all the time, all the time. If he's ever telling the truth, it's just by random happenstance. What motivates what he says is simply his own desires and self-interest at any given point. And he says anything that he feels serves that. That's it. So what are some of the truths about Darrell Brooks that the jury didn't know that if he did want them to know the truth, maybe he would have told them? How about the fact that he was a career criminal with his entire adult life exhibiting being caught for increasingly dangerous crimes until the final ones that he was tried for here, where he committed mass murder and mass injury in the attack on the parade? How about that, Darrell? You didn't want to tell anybody about that, did you? So one of the most startling things, and you may already know this, is that in the same month that he attacked the parade, earlier that month, he'd used the same SUV, his mother's SUV, to run over his girlfriend. He went to where she was, got into a fight with her, as he frequently did, punched her in the face, and then ran over her with the vehicle, leaving her on the ground at a gas station with tire marks on her leg, dislocated femur, and other injuries, including to her face from being punched. He did that. When the police went to get him for that, he was at his mother's house trying to run away, and they got him. Later, he was charged with witness intimidation, trying to coerce the girlfriend to retract her story, despite the evidence of the injuries. That was in the same month that he attacked the parade. So wait, what happened there? How did he get arrested and he get back out, get behind the wheel of his mother's vehicle that he had previously used to run over somebody and then run over more people? How'd that happen? Well, he was let out on a $1,000 bail. Seems low, doesn't it? Seems very low. It is, but it's actually double what he had previously been let out on. He had been charged the year before with shooting at a vehicle with people in it, family members of his. He didn't hit any of them, but he had shot at them, and he was facing charges for that, but his trial was delayed, I don't know, probably due to COVID, which slowed down a lot of criminal trials. And his bail was reduced to $500 for shooting at people despite his lengthy prior criminal history. So naturally, what do you do when someone's out and about for shooting at people and they use a vehicle to run over a woman and beat her also? Well, you double that bail to $1,000. That'll make a big dent, won't it? No, because the SUV owning mother comes and posts this bail for him to get him out on these charges. He's then taken to another facility where he faces the issue of potentially going to jail over some child support things for contempt of court. And he tells the judge there, hey, I've been in jail for the last 6 months down in Georgia, so I couldn't make these payments. And that was a lie. And he was let out then 5 days before the attack at the parade. And of course, that occurred that day when he was also, again, beating up girlfriend, right? And then she gets aid from Kirby, who says, you need to get out of here. The police are going to come. Gets in his vehicle knowing that he's got all these charges against him already, right? Previously running over the girlfriend, previously beating the girlfriend, bail jumping, the shooting and all that. He doesn't want to get caught again. I mean, it's so inconvenient that the police keep coming every time you're trying to beat a woman. I mean, it's hard. So he gets in the SUV and he drives away and he goes to the parade. Whatever was in his mind at that moment, I don't really care. The result ended up being the same, which was he intentionally drove that vehicle through the parade and ran over people intentionally, absolutely intentionally in a non-malfunctioning vehicle that also had now not malfunctioned the previous time he ran over somebody with it, fled the scene, and then told a completely ludicrous story shortly thereafter to the police, completely calm and collected, not concerned at all that he had just killed and injured scores of people. So how about that truth, Darrell? You didn't want the people to know that, did you? Right? I didn't think so. But you look at his age, and his entire adult life has been spent committing crimes, living off the dole, living off his mother, and committing crimes. His signal achievement that he pointed to the jury was apparently the ability to impregnate women and have them generate children. Not child support, not working to support them or anything like that, just the fact that they were created as he traveled around the country committing crimes, and in at least one case impregnating a girl who was well underage. So in 1999, he was charged with substantial battery, and it kicks off his adult criminal record. What did he do when he was a kid? I don't know. Was he an angel right up until the time he became an adult? I doubt it. And I also think it's worth noting that his criminal record is just what he got caught doing. He's probably not the worst criminal in the world. Might be the worst lawyer in the world, but he's probably not the worst criminal in the world. So I think it's fair to say he probably did a lot of things he didn't get caught for. So anyway, 1999, he's charged with substantial battery. He gets off pretty easy with that. He's charged in 2002 with some other low-level crimes. 2005, he's charged with obstruction. He fails to appear for that, which sets the pattern for later of if he can get out of court, he gets out and he goes away. I mean, he can go to different states sometimes. 2006, he's convicted of statutory sexual seduction after impregnating a 15-year-old girl. Sparks, Nevada, required to register as a sex offender. And he writes a letter to the judge saying, please feel sorry for me. I had a bad father who was also not around, and I got mental issues and things like that. I'm no monster, Judge. I mean, just let me out of here, okay? And that case, though, if you look at the details, are worse than what it sounds like on the surface, his behavior there, especially with regard to the girl. So he also apparently was in jail in Reno, Nevada at one point, gave an interview about how bad it is to be on meth. Okay, I'll give him that one. 2009, he's back in Wisconsin and pleads no contest and found guilty in his 2005 obstruction case. Sentenced to 2 days, time served. 2010, he's getting a little more active. He's getting a little older, a little more mature, and his crime game is stepping up. He's charged with strangulation, battery, and criminal damage to property after a woman told police he shoved her to the ground and grabbed her throat. He pleads no contest to that. He didn't know all the sovereign stuff then. I mean, if there's fringe on the flag, they have to let you go, right? Whatever. Other counts dismissed after he pleads guilty to strangulation as part of his plea agreement. Sentenced to 90 days in jail with work release and 3 years probation, which all of that's meaningless to him because he doesn't respond to consequences and he doesn't take responsibility. 2011, he's charged with resisting a police officer in Milwaukee County when he tries to flee during a traffic stop. He turned the car on and put it in drive. The officer says he feared Brooks was going to run him over, foreshadowing of just how bad this idiot was going to be. Oh, let's see. 2011, his probation is revoked for the strangulation case. He is allegedly sent to jail for a while. Then he pleads guilty for resisting arrest. Sex offender sweep in 2012 finds that he's provided a false address on his registration. What? Brooks lie? Come on. That's hard to believe. They arrest him for failing to obey sex offender laws. He's never been in compliance with it, apparently, at least not since 2008. He posts bail and fails to appear in court. Again, repeat behavior. A warrant gets issued. Comes back to Wisconsin. Doesn't register there as a sex offender, which he's supposed to do. 2020, he shoots at a relative and a relative's friend. I believe they were in a vehicle at the time he was firing at them. He didn't hit anybody, fortunately, or I guess maybe he would have been, I don't know if he would have been held in jail after that or not. Who knows? This guy was given all the breaks that it's possible to get. He's charged with 2 counts of second degree recklessly endangering safety and 1 count of felon in possession of a firearm. Is that real trouble for Brooks? Not really. His bail is set initially at a slightly higher amount, but eventually it gets moved to $500 as the case is delayed. $500 for those crimes and with his history. So at the time of November 2021, he is out on a $500 bail for having shot at people. The prosecutor in March 2021 asked that Brooks be found in contempt of court in violation of court orders for long-running child support case. Remember when his signal achievement was generating children but not paying for them? The DA tried to do something about it, but he gets a stayed sentence with work release privileges. Then he's back down in Georgia. He's a traveling guy, right? He just loves to travel and see the country and commit crimes all over the country. He's arrested by police in Union City, Georgia, in domestic violence case. A man tells police he confronted Brooks when he heard Brooks beating a woman on the other side of a wall in a hotel. Nice. Now, what happens there? He makes his court appearance. He's given his signature bond, which says you have to promise to come back. You'll come back, right? And of course, he says yes, and he doesn't. Then he does appear in 2021 June in Milwaukee to show up for a status conference on his 2020 shooting case. The case continues to be put off due to court congestion. And then November 2nd, 2021 is when he runs over his girlfriend's leg with the same SUV that he used to kill people later, the SUV that his mother owned. And I know people are giving her heat for posting this $1,000 bail that she did that let him out only 5 days before he ran over everybody in the parade. She also perhaps should have taken the keys away for that vehicle. But while I think it's fair to give her a lot of heat, I think it's also fair to say, where's the father? What happened with his father? Worthless individual, probably. And what about the system? What about the system that makes it a $1,000 bond when you are out already for a case involving shooting at people and you have run over a human being, a woman, after punching her in the face to get out on that kind of bond? He's obviously increasingly dangerous, and he's let out of jail. So he was also taken after the $1,000 bond was posted in front of somebody for this child support thing, and he concocted this excuse that, hey, I've been in jail continuously in Georgia for 6 months, so I couldn't work and pay this child support. And so he was not held for that. And that put him on the street at the time when he made his final bit of violence that hopefully he will be able to foist onto the public, which was when he physically assaulted his girlfriend again. And then she was assisted by Kirby, who told Brooks, you better get out of here. We're calling the police. Now, Brooks is already out on this bail for running over the girlfriend, for punching the girlfriend, for the shooting, for various bail jumpings. And he had tried to intimidate her into retracting her story. The police knew about that. He doesn't want to go back to jail. I mean, it's really inconvenient to have to keep getting arrested. Basically, every time you want to punch a woman or run her over, it's like the police come around and hassle you, right? I mean, that's terrible. That's how he acted in his interrogation. In fact, he asked the police, after he had beat her, after he had run over everybody in the parade and killed them, he asked the police in the interrogation that night, why aren't women like my girlfriend arrested and put in jail for making these false allegations against me? That's the kind of scumbag he is. So he's evil. He doesn't deserve to breathe. The treatment he's getting from the system is more than he deserves, even if some of it is the rights that he has. But there are other villains in this, and I know a lot of comments on the last video pointed to his mom, and I agree her behavior facilitated some of the actions he did. She provided the vehicle even after he'd been violent with it. She got him out of jail, okay? She also moved blame from him to the system that failed to support him. But there's no mention of the father, who should come in for some of this too, right? But there's also blame for the system. And there I agree with his mother in that case, because she shouldn't have been in a position to post a bail for him. The bail should never have been $1,000. And the government's looking into, well, how did that happen? But it should have been a much higher bail. It should have been a much higher bail. This guy was a habitual criminal. He was a felon. He was increasingly dangerous. You've seen him in the courtroom. You know he hates women. You know he has uncontrollable anger when challenged by any woman. You know he does not respect authority. You know he lies all the time. You know he doesn't want to have any consequences for his actions. He wanted his case to be dismissed, which was why this sovereign nonsense appealed to him so much, because it seemed like an avenue to be completely consequence-free for murder. You know all this about him. You know it. The jury didn't know about all this criminal history he had before they rendered the right verdict that they did come to. And he lied to them, looked them in the eyes, and said, I want you to know the truth, when all he did was spout more lies after that. But the truth is, you've always been a horrible scumbag. You've always been a danger to other people. You've always been coddled by the system. And now that has finally come to an end at a cost that people should not have had to bear, that they will never completely heal from, but at least you will go away and you'll never be able to do it again. Thanks.